Hey, my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be another installment in my Sephora collection, Precious Gemstones collection review. This one again will be a one palette, two looks, or a two looks, one palette. And if you want to see the rest of the series, I guess, check my description box, or you can find a link at the end of the video. Excuse my voice, my throat's a little scratchy and I sound a little stuffy. I'm at the tail end of a cold that I caught from my little cousin while I was out of town. So just bear with me. I also have very strong brows. That's not your imagination. I ran out of my eyebrow pencil last month and I have not gotten a replacement. So I've just been using my eyeliner pencil and my mascara, which, as you can see, is not a great idea. They're very bold. Hopefully I can balance them out with the eyeshadow that I'll be wearing today. But this is the lightest one. This is the Pearl palette in the Precious Gemstones collection, so we'll see about that. Here's what the palette looks like swatched on my hand, and then also all of the shades in the palette. There, now you can see that last one. Yeah, like I said, it's the lightest palette in this entire collection. So if you want to see swatches of all four palettes, check out the first video that I did on this collection. But as I said in that video, I do think this one will work at least halfway decently. I do think I can get some really nice looks out of this, or else I wouldn't have bought it. But now I just have to actually create these two looks. Just like last time, I have not planned anything, so while I put my eyeshadow primer on, which is the Milani eyeshadow primer, I'm going to think about what I'm going to do, and then I'll be right back. Just like last time with the Titanium Quartz palette, I'm going to use every shade in this palette. However, Titanium Quartz only had one shade that was like, for my skin tone, a lid like eyeshadow primer setting shade. This palette has two shades that could be light enough to do that for me. So instead of like using one shade to set both lids, I'm gonna use this shade on my right lid and then this shade on my left lid, just so you can see, and I'll like come back and show you what that looks like. But I don't really have any use for those separately. Like, I would use both of those for that reason. Probably mostly this second shade, which is just the slightest bit darker. And I have new brushes this time. For this step, I'm going to use this fluffy brush, also from Sephora collection. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I definitely can tell when I look in the mirror. This eye, which was the lightest shade, you can definitely see the stark difference on my lid. Like, my lid looks very bright and light, and this one just looks like it kind of blends into my skin tone. I did like just a sheer wash of powder and it just blended right in. Even though it is lighter, I typically go lighter when I set my primer anyway. So I've been talking about that long enough, but I just wanted to note that, like, for my skin tone, these work pretty much the same. So that is one downside, I would say. I'm gonna start my first look on my right eye, and I'm using, it's like also from Sephora collection. It's just a slightly more dense version of like a blending brush, but it is a different brush even though it looks pretty similar. For this first eye, I'm going to start with this deepest shade, and I'm going to put that all over my outer corner, my crease, and the outer part of my lower lash line. I'm gonna take this fluffy brush again and go into this lighter matte brown and just use that to blend everything out, so as my transition, and then all around my lower lash line. I realized I forgot my NYX glitter primer that I'm going to use, and while I was up, I put some earrings on, so if you notice any changes, that's what happened. But I'm gonna put a glitter primer on, and just like I said last time, I know some people would think this is like cheating for a first impression review type video. Sorry, my fingers are cracking. But I use eyeshadow primer and glitter primer every time I do my makeup, so for me this is a fair test just to see how it performed like as an everyday palette. So I'm gonna put this on, and then I'm going to put this last metallic all over my lid. This is what it looks like on my finger, and I'm just gonna lay it down using my finger. I'm gonna take this shader type brush just because it's clean, and I'm gonna use that to blend out the edges of the metallic to fade it into the matte. And I always do that every time I do my eyeshadow. This has nothing to do with the blendability or lack thereof of this eyeshadow palette. But now for the final part of this look, I'm going to take this lightest metallic shade and use it as my inner corner highlight, and I'm going to take it a little bit down the first half of my lower lash line. So this is what the shadow looks like on my finger, and this is what it looks like in the pan right here. But actually putting it on my inner corner, maybe it had something to do with the contrast to all the cool tones on my eye, but this actually looks like gold when I look at it in the mirror. I don't know if that's just a shift or what's happening, because there is like another shifty type shade in this palette, and there was one in the titanium quartz palette as well. So potentially this could be like a cool tone frosty pink to gold shift. I'm gonna have to look more into it, but at least when I look into the mirror it looks gold, even though it looks like a frosty cool pink everywhere else. But I'm gonna put on some black eyeliner and mascara, and I'll be right back. That's the finished look for my right eye, and I really like the way this turned out. I just did like a really super basic, easy, simple, like everyday cool tone neutral eye. That was kind of what I intended, or like what I envisioned when I bought this palette, because I didn't just buy this for the review, I bought it for myself. I really liked the way this turned out, but now it's time for look 2, which I think I'm going to, I only have one more shade to use, which is this one, which does have a slight shift. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. I think I'm gonna use only these 2 shadows and make it like a more bold look, since this one was so simple. As always, I just dropped my palette face down, but it landed on my tissue I've been using for swatches, so that was a win. Again, I'm gonna take this more dense blending type brush and go into that deepest brown shade and kind of just put it everywhere. I'm struggling so much. I don't usually do my eyeshadow like this, but I'm trying to make sure you can see everything. But if I look awkward, it's because this is not the way I usually position everything when I do my eyeshadow. So I'm just building, I'm trying to build my crease a lot, so that I can make this like a very, at least like as much as it can be, a very deep smoky look. I do want to point out that I do have a tiny bit of patchiness right in the outer part of my eye, but I will say that happens with a lot of eyeshadow. Almost all eyeshadow starts to get patchy right here if I don't blend it out properly. So I wanted to point it out, but I honestly don't think that's the fault of the palette. That's most likely user error. I also want to point out that after using that deepest shade all over my eye, I don't see any fallout under this eye or under this eye as well. And I mentioned with the last palette, Titanium Quartz, I didn't see any fallout with that palette. So I think that's definitely a pro. Again, I'm going to go in with my NYX glitter primer and then put this shade all over my lid. Here's what that shade looks like on my finger, and I'm just gonna apply it everywhere. That shade is so beautiful. It's a subtle shift, but it is so pretty, especially on top of like when it fades into that deepest shade. It looks so pretty. And just like with the like special shade in the titanium quartz palette, I would say it is pretty sheer, not necessarily a topper shade because it does have that base to it, but sheer where it just looks super thin and ethereal, and you can change the effect that it has depending on what you put under it. So I really love this, and again, I'm gonna use this brush to kind of just help blend everything in together. I kind of want to see what this would look on my lower lash line. When I put any metallic on my lower lash line that I really want to stick out, I usually use a glitter primer, but for now I'm just gonna see what it looks like on a dry brush. Okay, that is really, really nice actually. Sorry if you can hear that baby crying in the background. I really like the way it looks here, but I'm kind of tempted just to see what this shade would look like as an inner corner highlight. So I actually, because this brush that I used last time, I've never used this brush for that purpose before, and I didn't really like the way it looks, so I'm gonna use my pinky finger. That looks so cool. I love a special shade inner corner highlight. Like, I love the flip. But anyway, I'm gonna stop talking or else this video is gonna be too long. I'm gonna put on again my eyeliner and mascara and be right back. All right, I decided to add a wing, which did not turn out great because the pen I was using is like 8 months old and is broken and leaking. But regardless, I really like how it turned out. I'll post pictures of both looks on the screen, but I'm really happy I bought this palette. I don't regret it at all. I do think I mean, literally anyone can wear anything they want, which I already said in the first video, but I think like as an everyday palette for like looks that I like to create, this is deep enough for me, just enough. So if you have a fair or medium skin tone, I would say this is a good palette for like those simple everyday looks. You don't get anything super punchy or anything super bold, and you only get cool tone colors except for that pink to gold potential shift, which I have to investigate more. You don't get any warm tone shades. So if you're just looking for that and you have like a fair light medium skin tone, I would say, and you're interested in this palette and this color story, I would say this is definitely a good purchase. It's good quality, as always with these 7 pans with this with Sephora collection palettes. If you have a deeper skin tone, again, maybe look at swatches from someone else with a deeper skin tone, or go ahead and swatch it and see if this palette would suit you and what you're interested in. But all in all, I recommend this. Pick it up at the Sephora sale if you're interested. It'll be 30% off. And again, as I've been saying, this will probably go out of stock or be discontinued either at the end of the year or sometime next year, because Sephora tends to discontinue these 7 pan palettes, or really like any eyeshadow collection that they have, after a year. And that will be my little mini review 2 looks 1 palette for the Sephora collection Precious Gemstones Pearl palette. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned because the rest of the week I will be posting the other 2 videos in the series for the last 2 palettes. But until then, I hope you have a great day.